concessions have been entered into. And for 50 years, in all the history of concession, it has never happened. Concessions in the airport are usually between 25 to 30 years because it is assumed that within 20 years, you pay back whatever has been put in. And profit are made after 5 years. But 50 years...
Well, part of what they ask is that, I mean, that judgment, did they ask FAAN to take over the premises immediately?
I mean, what connotes a judgment? We went to court and the court gave us the land. And in spite of that, we are still open to say, look, whatever it is, we can discuss. But for you to build that, there is overriding national interest. There is issues of security. You can't have a hotel overlooking a runaway, the apron, especially in this era of terrorism. So there are a lot of considerations that comes in. And we believe that as the Democrats, and people that are conscientious about the development of the country, we should allow national interest to supersede personal interest.
Because that's part of what they argue, that the judgment did not ask FAAN to go in and take possession of the premises immediately. But we'll get to hear from them, hopefully, soon. But in addition to all of that, we also heard people say that FAAN is not taking over that place to develop the place. They're taking over that place for the same purpose, to build a hotel and giving it to another agency. Is that correct?
No, it's not correct. To start with, there's a master plan for the Murtala Mohammed International Airport. Our fathers who had that concept left an expanse of land beside the airport. I mean, it's simple logic. If you build a facility, you create space for, if there's space beside this, it's for the development of the facility. And you and I know what we go through at the Murtala Mohammed Airport. There's no form of renovation that will go through that place. You are talking about cables that are put under the ground for the past 35 years. They can't carry the kind of air conditioning we have. The cables, I mean, the facilities are going down. What Lagos needs is a brand new international airport. And Mr. President has even entered into an MOU with the Chinese government so that Lagos can have the kind of airport it deserves. And that area is reserved for the terminal. Where we are building a hotel is where the present car park presently is. In fact, we are soon going to move it to build a hotel near the airport.
Which car park? The one
where the present car park is.
That's where FAAN wants to build this hotel.
Yes.
Not in this parcel of land that's taken over from AIC.
The parcel of land is overlooking the runway. It's just a fence that divides that land with the runway, with the tarmac. So why do you close the case possibility of somebody moving out from his hotel room and accessing a tarmac, a terminal?
Mr. Gatti, so how do you want this AIC to know that in your intentions, I mean, FAAN's intentions, they only mean well? Because for them, you have decided that you don't want this agreement anymore. They have said, okay, fine, compensate us. You approach arbitration, you were given money, you said this is too much money. You went to the court, you vacated everything, and now you're taking over the land. So how are they supposed to know that eventually they will even get any compensation?
No, what we are saying is there are areas for conflict resolution. And whatever, or if you have a grievance, you either approach the court, especially as the case may be.
So if they do not approach the court, I mean, yes. If AIC says, well, for whatever reason they do not approach the court, it means they get no compensation whatsoever.
No, but whatever the case in a civilized society, you don't come down to a level of self-help where you engage the services of dogs to come and invade the security area. That's before the
issue. I'm simply asking because what it would seem is that AIC is saying, FAAN, hold on, you haven't paid compensation for this land, so there's no way you can come and take over land that you haven't given us any compensation for.
Then they should exploit the acceptable ways of extending grievances in a civilized behavior.
And fold their arms while you come and remove the fence that they had erected initially.
No, that place was overgrown with grass. You can see the pictures even there.
That's not the picture we're seeing. We're seeing a field of... Maybe we should play the film again and then we can see what is there.
With grass. You have problems if you are familiar with security in the airports. Issues of bird strike have been causing, accidents. So, and that was why
perhaps we should roll the visuals again because
you can see how
it will be what we're seeing a green field on the other side. I think it will be nice for them to show the pictures on the other side where
Yes.
what you can see fields, and we believe that if the intention was to cut the grass, look at the side, you can see the grass. What we're saying is it looks like a field. If the intention was to cut the grass on that particular field, I want to believe that there are ways that we can cut the grass without necessarily bringing down the fence.
No, they have sealed and locked up the place. And all attempts to make them understand and realize in the first place is a security area. We cannot afford to, I mean, you can't come to an airport. It's our image as a country. When it's overgrown with grass, especially by the tarmac, and we know what that poses as a danger. I mean, we become irresponsible as an organization if we allow that to happen.
It will mean then that it's FAAN that has resorted to self-help because you have forcefully gone to pull down the fence.
No, we are talking about our property. The issue in contention is not the land, it's the compensation they are talking about. And we are not even going in to develop the land, we are going in to reduce the width before we unveil the reconstruction of a new terminal which that place was meant for in the original master plan.
Do you think that you have been fair and just to AIC in your handling of this matter?
We believe so because in the first place, if you have a facility, an arrangement has been entered into, and for the 15 years, nothing has been done. And then you see an airport like Lagos, where even people miss their flights because the roads are tight, where the facilities cannot take the number of the volume that is coming in. And then there is a space reserved for development, for expansion, and we cannot touch it.
Yes. You said that it was AIC that came with talks.
Yes.
Yes, we did see someone's suit that was torn there. But AIC said it was FAAN's officials that tore that suit and hurled stones at him. So it looks as though it's your word against theirs.
Well, I think pictures don't lie, because you will clearly see our uniform aviation security people there trying to preserve law and order. And so the other plain-colored people you are seeing are people that they invaded our premises with. And Chief Harry Akande came with his children, his grandchildren, and you begin to wonder whether the airport business is a family business. But above all, we are trying to say that for the purpose of security and well-being and general interest of the country, we are not claiming this land for us. We are trying to say, leave this so that the airport can grow. If you build a hotel there and the airport dies, so what value is it?
What about, what's your perception of what this does to public-private partnership? Because remember, FAAN feud with AIC, feud with Courtney, feud with... So is it not leaving the wrong impression about doing business with government?
Well, I'm very happy with that question. As I speak with you, FAAN is into concession with more than 200 companies. We have cleaning companies, we have jets, we have more than 10 banks, we have other concessionaires, and there are no problems with that. Where we have problems are people who use their overreaching influence when they have friends in government to enter into agreements that are skewed against the interests of FAAN and the Nigerian people. As I speak to you, 3 years ago, FAAN was not even able to pay salaries because the revenues were going to either by Courtney or Mavis, or, so there were all sorts of leakages. And we're trying to say, no, enough is enough. We need to sanitize this industry. Nigerian aviation should be the leading aviation industry in Africa when it comes to aviation. But we are not even mentioned. Why? Because we must develop our infrastructure. You can't develop infrastructure without having access to what rightly belongs to you. That is the land.
Tell us before you go about the situation with Mavis. They got a court judgment in their favor against FAAN, saying that they should pay, what was it? Is it 50 million or 50 billion? What's the situation?
I like to put in proper perspective. They took CETA to court, not FAAN.
But FAAN was involved in that matter.
It was CETA. Well, they challenged CETA for coming into what they believe was a transaction between them. So that is a separate issue and is a legal issue. And
so
I think CETA has appealed.
FAAN has no connection.
Well, by implication, it might. But legally speaking, they had the case with CETA. And as I speak with you, what we are also trying to do, these are some of the concessions that were killing the industry. We are talking about Mavis at its prime days. Every monies that were coming into FAAN goes into Mavis' account. And Mavis decides what goes into FAAN. I mean, they were engaged to provide AOMS services. And they ended up providing all the facilities.
Did you pay Mavis any compensation? Sorry, Nyota.
No, the arrangement with Mavis is for them to provide AOMS services in Lagos, Abuja, Kano, and Port Harcourt.
Which they did?
No, they only deployed only in Lagos and only were interested in our revenue sources, which they channeled directly into their bank against the agreement. Now, for 4 years, they never deployed to other airports. Part of the agreement was for them to train FAAN staff, which they never did. And at the end of the day, FAAN could not even pay salaries because it's what Mavis decides. Secondly, the agreement, which was for 3 billion naira, at the end they said it's for 7 billion naira. So they started paying themselves. And for every money they say we make above the money that they pegged at the 2007 when the agreement was signed, that they would take 2%. So for every month after that, they were smiling home with $20 million every month. For doing nothing. Now, these are things that affect. Yes.
We're almost out of time.
Yeah.
If a court ruling is appealed, should there not be a status quo? No, should all the parties not just leave everything as it is until that appeal is gone to?
Yes, the lawyers tell me that until there is a stay of execution. If there is no stay of execution, whatever you appeal remains at that level. That is why you have governors in office and there are cases in court, but they are not removed. They still maintain their position until a judgment is passed. So going for appeal or filing an appeal does not translate to judgment.
So why didn't FAAN maintain their position against Courtney and all of those hotel billboards matter?
No, we have maintained our position. You see, the issue of billboards are a bit different. We had problems with advertisement concessionaires who were collecting monies from third parties and not remitting to FAAN. So we said, well, until that is sorted out, no more billboards around the airport facility.
Okay, because we have Shegun Do who says here that FAAN now obeys the law when it favors it, but disobeys it when otherwise, as in the case of Courtney.
No, certainly not. The facility we are even talking about was given to be finished in 18 months, and we are running into 12 years. It's not been done. They have refused to keep it. You see, we have a situation where if you enter into concession with people, they assume that they own the land. They don't. It's a concession for a particular period, after which it reverts back to the Nigerian people, and by implication, FAAN, because we are holding these facilities and land as in custody for the Nigerian people. It's not personal.
Yakubu Dati, General Manager Public Affairs of FAAN, thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much.
We'll return after this break.